Well, and with that note, we're going to move right on into the next topic. And I said predictions were done not so fast, as Lee Corso and my good co-host Brandon Swanson would say, is we've got one more thing to kind of predict and kind of talk about, Brandon, and that is the Heisman Trophy Award giveaway, I'm going to call it, the presentation of the Heisman Award. And today, the 5 finalists were announced for next Monday, or Saturday night, pardon me, the Saturday presentation of the Heisman Award. You've got Louisville quarterback Lamar Jackson, or Lamar Action Jackson, as I like to call him. You've got Oklahoma quarterback who's returning for his senior season, Baker Mayfield. You've got a receiver from Oklahoma, D.D. Westbrook. You've got Michigan linebacker Jabril Peppers and Clemson quarterback Deshaun Watson. Where do you start with this one? Now, I'm not going to ask you who you got in. I want to save who you got winning it for the end. But where's your starting point when you look at these 5 Heisman finalists?
Well, I think, first of all, you got to start at the quarterback position because that's, again, it's a quarterback heavy this year of the quarterback, certainly for Heisman candidates. And I think that, first you start with the team that, with the player on the team that finds themselves in the college football playoffs, and that's with Clemson quarterback Deshaun Watson. And I think that Watson, what he has done this season, certainly last season, I think you really make the case for him. Last year, he played very well, and he did it on both sides. Running the football, passing the football. He was really strong. He had a really great season, and I think that if Derrick Henry didn't have the year he had, Deshaun Watson wins last season. You have a Baker Mayfield, a guy who just continues to put up numbers at Oklahoma. And, honestly, I think that this Oklahoma faithful has to be so excited that he's coming back for his senior season, because it shows that he sees the importance, 1, of school, 2, of a team. He sees that this team has so much potential to eventually make it to those college football playoffs. And then you take a look at the guy who's just been stupid good all season long, and that's Lamar Jackson. I mean, what's he combined for 51 total touchdowns on the season? Something outrageous. But I think that you look at all those guys, and it's certainly quarterback heavy. And then D.D. Westbrook. I mean, you talk about a favorite target. He embodies favorite target of Baker Mayfield. He's been outstanding with 16 reception touchdowns on the year. And then, of course, the guy who you cannot leave out because he does it all. And that's
modern-day Booby Miles.
And that's Jabril Peppers. And I think that, he's the first defensive guy to be up for it since 2012 in Manti Te'o from Notre Dame. And I think just the second in this decade. I think that Jabril Peppers is such a special player. He's going to go, I think, high in the draft for the NFL.
Top 5, no doubt.
I mean, he has to be. He certainly has to be. And, maybe he even goes number 1 because the Cleveland Browns could use someone all over the field. But I think that this is a really good group of guys. I think that they're all very deserving. And now, Ricky, I'll throw it over to you to give your thoughts.
Well, the point I want to start at was the last point that you started at, was Jabril Peppers. And the thing that I think makes him so unique is everyone's going to look and say linebacker and say, oh, well, linebacker, look at his defensive stats. They're not that impressive. They're good. Not that impressive. Move right along. But the thing that makes, to me, Jabril Peppers I'm going to say Heisman dark horse this year. Is he going to win it? Spoiler alert, no, he's not going to be my pick in the end. I think everyone who has listened to the PTP knows who I'm going to pick in the end, but I'll save it. I won't blow my answer for you. The thing that makes Jabril Peppers the most interesting pick, and I would say a dark horse, is his return game. The return ability of his game. He can do it in the return game. He can do it in the offense. He can run out of the backfield. He can do a wildcat. He can play defense. He can pretty much do it all. And to me, it's one of those things where I am going back year by year right now as I am talking to try to find not just the last, you said the last defensive player was Manti Te'o, but I want to find out if we've had a return guy who's been as great in the return game since Desmond Howard in 1991. And I went all the way through it, Brandon. No, we haven't. And we haven't had, to me, a great defensive back. Well, I know they say linebacker Jabril Peppers, but that's because he kind of plays that star defensive back, linebacker, kind of a hybrid position. We haven't had a great defensive back since Charles Woodson when he was at Michigan. So to me, my thought process starts with Jabril Peppers because I don't think he's going to win it. I want to see where he finishes because D.D. Westbrook, I'm sorry, not anything to knock him. He's fifth. He's going to finish fifth in these rankings because he's a good talent, but he's nothing compared to the other three. I want to know, though, Jabril Peppers, and I'll throw this to you. Does he finish above any of the three quarterbacks? Any of them? That third quarterback, no matter who it may be, does Jabril finish above him and make that quarterback 4?
You know what? Maybe it's because of the play that I think that the body of work.
What you did during your season.
I think that when you look at both of these players mean so much. The two players I'm going to bring up, both of these players mean a lot to their team. It's clear.
Can I take a guess at who it is?
You sure can.
Is it Deshaun Watson and Jabril Peppers?
It's Deshaun Watson and Jabril Peppers.
I knew it.
And I think it's because Deshaun Watson, again, I think he was better last year. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think just when you see his numbers, I feel like he was better last year.
The eye test, too.
The eye test, too, how he kind of handled things at the beginning of the season. Oh, I'm doing poorly because I can't handle the pressure of the media. Come on.
Or I'm not a dual threat quarterback. Stop calling me a dual threat quarterback.
That's weak. I think that that's something that he needs to get better at. In just in the sense of being able to handle something such as that. That's big. But I also think that Jabril Peppers has meant a ton to his team, and I certainly think that Jabril Peppers could, if he's going to finish above any quarterback, he finishes above Deshaun Watson in my mind.
Well, and to me, I'm glad you brought up Deshaun Watson because that was the next point I was going to take is if I am looking at the quarterbacks, it's Lamar Jackson versus who? And that's the top of it. It's Lamar Jackson, who's going to rival him. I say that the top two at the top of my top 5 for the Heisman are Lamar Jackson and Baker Mayfield because Deshaun Watson has had a down year, less passing yards, less rushing yards, he's actually had more touchdowns through the air, half as many touchdowns on the ground as he had last season, and more interceptions at 15. You look at Baker Mayfield, yeah, he has a little bit less yards, but a higher average per completion. He has more touchdowns. He has about the same interception numbers, where it's 8 compared to 7, down from 9 when he was at TTU, Texas Tech. But you look at his rushing numbers, yeah, he only has 143 yards, but he doesn't have to have a ton of yards. He still has 6 touchdowns on the ground. And to me, I look at Baker Mayfield and what he's been able to do this year with his team. I like him a little bit better. And a big stat that Baker Mayfield wins the cake compared to all 3 quarterbacks. And this is something that I know we're going to get into kind of a muddly ground that I don't mean to throw him under the bus here, but I'm going to bring him in. Sean loves to bring up when we talk about college to like great college players. Well, how are they going to do as pros? How are they going to do in the NFL? Well, it doesn't matter, but the one stat that does matter there that I'm going to pull out here, completion percentage. 71.2% of his passes completed, up from 68 last year. That's pretty damn good. If you give me, there are most guys that are like, just give me 65 and I'm happy. Just give me like 65, 66, maybe even 63 if I'm really stretching it, and I'll be happy with that completion percentage. He's giving you 71% this year. And I know you're saying, well, Ricky, he's got a Heisman finalist as a wide receiver in D.D. Westbrook, and that may help a little bit, but when I see this final going down, and this will get into who we got winning it, I'll give mine first. My top three straight down, I would give it to number 3, Jabril Peppers. Number 2, Baker Mayfield. Number 1, Lamar Action Jackson. And I know what you might be saying. Well, but Ricky, Lamar Jackson only completed 57.6% of his passes. Have you seen him play this season? He passes the eye test. He has scored more touchdowns this season than I think anyone could any other year. 21 touchdowns on the ground and 30. He had 51 touchdowns this season alone. Kid blew it out of the water. Now, has he slowed down a bit since his hot September start? A little bit, but he is still the clear favorite for me for the Heisman Trophy. Brandon, what do you think?
I think that you want me to go 5-1.
Yeah, if you want. I mean, I basically gave mine by saying I said Westbrook would finish 5, and then I gave my top 3. So put Deshaun Watson where he fits in. It's like a puzzle piece.
I think that at number 5, I think it will be D.D. Westbrook, and it's not a knock to him. You got to the final 5 voting. I think at number 4, it will be Deshaun Watson. He was better last year. I think that Jabril Peppers has more of a case to be out in front of him. At number 3, Jabril Peppers. At number 2, and now I'll be honest with you, it's a tough one for me. I'll tell you why.
Do you agree with me, or do you go on the other side just to be different, Brandon?
I think that it's difficult because you go eye test.
Mm-hmm.
Both of the guys look really good. Both of the guys mean a lot to their teams.
Well, Lamar Jackson is stupid good. That's what he looked like.
Lamar Jackson looked like a guy who, at certain times, especially towards the end of the season when it meant the most, crumbled. And Baker Mayfield, at the end of the season, when it meant the most, did not. And he played very, very well. I think that you can't go based on how a team finishes. You have to go on how a performance from that particular player, how he does throughout the season. And for that, with overall total stats at the end of the day, on both sides, you said it, Baker Mayfield is 2, while Lamar Jackson is 1. And I don't want to give I'm not saying that I hesitated too much on that, but you did see at the end of the season, Heisman is supposed to be for that elite player, and Lamar Jackson certainly is. But I think that, again, at times towards the end of the season when it mattered most, and the elites come out to play when it matters most, he did crumble. He did not play as well when it did matter most, and Baker Mayfield, I believe, did. So I think that Lamar Jackson wins it. I think without a doubt he gets the win. Well, he will win the voting and he will get the Heisman. But I still think that, what I said before, the fact that, the big moments, the big games, certainly again towards the end, was what kind of hurt him and his team.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, the guy's been outstanding.
Well, and this is where you guys come in. Let us know down below. Who do you guys have winning the Heisman? Just give us your full top 5. Just rank them all for us. Let us know a little bit what you guys think about, A, the points that we brought up, and B, what do you guys think about this? Bring the discussion to the comment section so we can continue it there.